Sharktopus vs Whalewolf, Dinocroc vs Supergator, and Piranaconda are just a few absolute bangers that came courtesy of the late great Roger Corman, and as we were paying diverse tribute to him during the Barely Banter podcast's 29th episode, it dawned on me that it's been a while since I've reviewed a creature feature, so when Sting's release date came around, I decided to throw myself at it with the same gusto I'd exhibit if I were to dive face first into a pool filled exclusively to the brim with Emily Steele's cunt sludge. No snorkel needed. The titular character is an alien spider whose egg crash lands in a New York apartment building during a snowstorm. Not too long after hatching, Sting is discovered by a young girl named Charlotte who decides to keep the creepy crawly as a pet whilst being completely unaware that her new companion can grow a fuck ton and has an appetite for humans comparable to my constant craving I have towards ferociously gorging on some fine Asian vagina. No bib needed. Naturally, the only reason you'd lay eyes on this movie is to see the big-ass arachnid do big-ass arachnid shit, and indeed such needs are met, but as the film reel unfolded, our antagonist is shoved to the background so the spotlight can be predominantly occupied by a boring human narrative. Yes, the actors do a good job in presenting said narrative, but the story itself is super generic as well as uninteresting, which hindered immersion and brought pacing issues to Sting's 92-minute runtime. To witness the creature being properly featured in its own movie, you have to wait until the duration is roughly 3/4 of an hour old. From this point onwards, the plot embraces fluidity, which naturally improves the everything. We finally get to observe some kill scenes. A positive for sure, but I also wanted to see the slaughters that took place off screen because Sting and Rigor Mortis had left facial expressions on corpses belonging to certain members of the animal kingdom that I didn't think was achievable without involving a dragon dildo and fuck all lube. Now, I've no idea what type of budget the filmmakers were working with here because such information wasn't on the Flicks Wikipedia page, and like fuck was my investigation going to go beyond that, but in terms of appearance during growth spurts, our 8-legged toss piece looks decent for the most part. However, when Sting reached what I'm assuming to be its final form, the spider's aesthetics became less visually appealing and arachnid-esque characteristics were traded for mannerisms akin to a drunk puppet. Furthermore, I feel like one of the official posters, which just so happened to be the source of inspiration for my pixelated depiction, was super misleading. Judging by that image alone, you'd probably estimate that the web-weaving fuck reaches scale similar to Shelob, but in reality the 8-eyed twatbag at best matches the dimensions of an average-sized beanbag. I get why creative opted for that direction though. The on-screen activity is situated entirely in the aforementioned apartment building in NYC, so if you were to have the venomous bellend resemble a roided-up Ungoliant in such an intimate setting, it would have looked ridiculous and removed their aspect of stealth. However, logic doesn't prevent that poster from making me feel more deceived than any recipient of my dick pics. I'm self-satirizing, of course. My schlong can be seen from space. The cast isn't exactly a star-studded lineup, but as I alluded to earlier, the acting is befitting to the project. With that said though, Alila Brown certainly deserves the coveted MVP award for her performance as the protagonist. She carries the movie on her very young shoulders by ways of displaying solid range and dialogue deliverance, all fueled by naturalism. The death toll is a numerical letdown, and I'm quite surprised that it's rated 15 because the violence is leagues away from being gratuitous. The jump scares, soundtrack, cinematography, and overall experience is mid-tier. Put simply, Sting is the epitome of a B-movie that somehow made its way to the cinema. Ultimately, I feel like it's destined to sporadically be shown on the Sci-Fi Channel at butt fuck o'clock in the morning for the sake of entertaining some pisshead whilst they wait for their dodgy takeout to be delivered. And that's okay. The world needs that type of shit much like it does pubs, hardcore pornography, and a much better ending to this video.